What's going on, Ravens fans? The AFC North rivalry just got more interesting between Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow finally reacted to Trey Hendrickson being on the Ravens. He talked about, just hearing about the trade, what's his thoughts about it, and just seeing how everything will play out this season when it comes to the Ravens and the Bengals, and just hearing how this rivalry is starting to heat up, man. This is starting to become very, very intense. So let's jump right into one of the things that Joe Burrow talked about, when it came to the Ravens. He talked about getting that primetime game, just finally after years of talking about, Cincinnati having that primetime game versus the Ravens in Cincinnati compared to being in Baltimore the last few years. He talked about it'd be great, between him and Lamar, them battling it out in Cincinnati. He know what those rivalries are all about. He know how intense they can get. He also even talked about how he has the Ravens game even circled on the schedule already for this year. He even talked about, just like I said, between him and the battles between him and Lamar since the beginning of their career. And if you just think about the history, man, honestly, he's right. Every time Baltimore and Cincinnati play, it feels important. I'm saying, like the division standings, the playoff implications, the quarterback debates, over the last few years. Who's the better quarterback, Lamar or Joe Burrow? Who got it done better? Who made it farther in their career? Beat MVP. You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot of talks going on between those guys. But one of the biggest part of Burrow's comments he talked about was Trey Hendrickson, and Burrow said he wasn't surprised about Trey choosing Baltimore. He even laughed about it, and honestly, that just says a lot about how players around the league view the Ravens organization. Joe Burrow practiced against Trey Hendrickson for years, and he knows how physical he is, how aggressive he is, how disruptive he could be when it comes to being on the defense. Just seeing it day in and day out in practice, going over those reps in practice, making the defense better. Trey Hendrickson might have got the best of him at times. He may have gotten the best of Trey Hendrickson at times, with his cadences and switching up his cadences, getting faster, getting the ball out of his hand faster and stuff. So it's gonna be very interesting seeing these guys going against each other. Trey Hendrickson knowing Joe Burrow, so he could just pick up on the cadences. He could pick up on a pitch count, know when to get off the ball, know how to get after Joe Burrow, knowing the offensive tackles, understand like their downfalls, understand their disadvantages, how to take over the disadvantages of the offensive tackles. So that'll be some advantages that Trey Hendrickson brings on the Ravens defense as well. And now let's think about this from the Ravens perspective. This move makes complete sense. The Ravens always talked about building a strong defense around the edge, finally having a great pass rusher. We took a lot of chance grabbing different pass rushers over time. At times we got the job done, getting to the quarterback. Sometimes we didn't get the job done. We had seasons where guys were injured. We had seasons where we drafted guys thinking that they can get somewhat of a spark going, within the first 3 years, but just nothing never, transpired from guys that we picked up in the past. And we picked up a lot of pass rushers, man. Ravens really took a chance on getting different pass rushers. So bringing in Trey Hendrickson is something that just already a plug-and-play player, ready to get the job done. He's not injured. He's fully healthy. He has a motor. He has a chip on his shoulder about how he was treated when it came to getting paid by the Bengals. So it could be a lot playing into this position when it comes to Trey Hendrickson just being on the Ravens team going against that Bengals defense. You combine all this together, the AFC North is becoming a war again. If you think about Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, primetime games, and Trey Hendrickson now in purple and black. This is exactly why the Ravens and Bengals continue to feel like one of the best rivalries in football up to this day. You know what I'm saying? That's big. That's big. And I'm glad they're bringing the rivalry back. I'm glad that they keeping it going because, fans need that. We need that rivalry in the NFL, man, because I feel like things been kind of getting dull. Bringing that competitiveness, just that will to this, dominate in the division, dominate against your rival teams. So that's just something to think about when it comes to this year when the Ravens and the Bengals and just the new regime of this rivalry. So at the end of the day, Joe Burrow may have, laughed about Trey joining the Baltimore, but deep down, he already knows what's coming. The Ravens are building something dangerous, and these AFC North matchups just became must-see TV. So don't miss out on that. If I was you, I'll be right there front row seat centered, ready to watch these games, because this is going to be some crazy rival games this year. Crazy rival games. The rosters are stacked this year. So the whole division is going to be crazy, man. As far as the Bengals and the Ravens, that's definitely going to be a must-see TV come this year when they play against each other primetime in Cincinnati. But I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts when it comes to the AFC North? Who do you think will come out on top this year in the AFC North? You know what I'm saying? And how do you feel about the trade of Trey Hendrickson? How many sacks do you think he would get this year, just overall with the Ravens? And how many sacks you think he gonna get on Joe Burrow this year when we go against the Bengals? Drop your thoughts below. Like, share, subscribe. And as always, I appreciate all y'all watching another video on this channel. And as always, GridIron Flock TV, we out.